right. So again, thanks everybody for joining this morning. We'll get started. So let's just do a little overview for the week. All right. So the Russell is small cap stocks. And we have, so it looks like it was down Monday, up Tuesday and Wednesday, down Thursday and Friday. Let's see what the Dow did. So let's call it back. All right, the Dow was up, down Monday, and then was up the rest of the week. So Dow stocks did pretty good. And let's see about the Nasdaq. Nasdaq opened the week up. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was down, and then tried to rebound Thursday and Friday. So depending upon what your stocks were, how they behaved this week, they probably tracked decently with the indices. So let's just look a little bit long term. So you can see Nasdaq here, we've really just been sideways for a couple weeks, right? Hit that low July 21st, kind of went up that week, but since then just pretty much sideways. Going back to the Russell, which is the small caps, that July 19th, and had some upward movement, but we gave it back Friday. So you can still say it's pretty much sideways move. And then on the Dow, actually Dow on that 19th, here's that July 19th. So the Dow has actually been up then. So if you have any industrials, anything in the Dow, probably looking pretty good on what you're holding. All right, let me see participant list. Who all here? So you got Andre, Ken, Kyle, Renza, and Sharif. All right. So Andre, let me bring up the spreadsheet. Andre, I know we talked the other day, but I didn't even get a chance to put a stock in for you. So I'll put one in for you this morning.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So we'll choose one. All right. Trying to see where's our spreadsheet. There we go. All right. So let me add you, Dre. And we'll go through the rest of these. Dre, we'll just go with Fubo for now. All right. So let's see. All right. So last week, let's again. Andre, Ken. All right, get Ken one as well. What's up, Ken? Hey, last couple of weeks, what we've done is that we had people pick a stock that they want to track. So we have a $5,000 fictitious portfolio, and on the right here on the screen, you can see us. We put the number of shares that you want to buy of that particular stock based on that $5,000 limit, and then we'll be able to track them there. And then each person, we can go through and then apply some of the techniques and stuff that we're working with, to those. So given that, what stock do you want to be yours?
I got a person here that want to see the Bitcoin.
Want to see what?
Bitcoin. Can you add Mario to Bitcoin so we can track it for him?
All right.
He's a new person.
Okay, we'll do. Okay. All right, Ken, can you hear me? He must be on mute. All right. Kyle, let's see what you got. You got NIO. Let's see what NIO did for the week.
Not a doggone thing.
Tell me how you really feel. Let's see.
Something about these EV stocks, man. They're going the wrong way.
All right. So talk to me. Here's your Neo chart. What's the chart telling you? What you see?
I'm kind of leveled out for a minute, but it's still kind of on a downtrend a little bit. It's on a downtrend. I tried to recover a little bit this week, but it still went sideways this week a little bit, but still on a downtrend.
Okay.
So we go ahead. Looking for support for it to come back up.
Yeah. So are you, so let's look at your holdings on that. So Neo, you have 50 shares of Neo. Your entry price was $44.54. It's currently trading at $40.88. And so down 8%. And you have your net liquidation. So I guess you went in. Let me see what your entry is on your sheet. Yeah. All right. So it gives a little bit different price market.
We can buy some more on the dip.
Okay. All right. So do you want to buy some more here, or do you want to just hold?
Yeah, I think we gonna. Well, you know what? We could buy some on the dip. How many shares I got?
I got 50 shares right now.
How much? How many shares I got left? Possibly.
You got about $3,000, a little bit less than $3,000. Like say,
give me 25 more shares.
25 more.
Give me 25 more. That's gonna change the price.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna add another entry for you.
At a football game, right?
Okay, no worries. Say 25 more Neo. Tell you what, as opposed to boring y'all with the order entry, I'll just put here. Just add 25 more, and I'll get it fixed up later. Lot size 25. Okay. Yeah, should have copied over. All right. Let's see who next. Heard David. David, I know you had a football game, but what stock you want to track? Did we put one in for you already?
Did you?
No, we didn't. What stock you want to go with?
Roblox.
All right. That's it. All right. Let's see. Roblox. ROBX. RBLX. And I'll get an allocation for you. I'll just do half. So whatever a half is. Let's make a note. Bear with me, guys. Let me just stick this in here because it's bugging me. Okay, there we go. So if we were to buy got it. Mario BTC. Ken, did you ever or get a place where you can talk, Ken?
What'd you say?
I was asking Ken, was he at a place he could talk? I see you on mute. Okay. He probably can't share. All right. All right. Sharif. Let's see, Sharif. We got you down for Magnite. Let's see what your Magnite is looking like, Sharif.
Hey, Michael, I'm listening, but I'm actually driving, so I can't look at the charts with you guys. So somebody's gonna have to kind of talk me through that part. But I'm listening though.
Okay, I'll do that. All right, so it looks like earlier in the week, Magna had a pop on earnings. Maybe that was Thursday, Friday last week, August 6th. And so it had gotten as high as 36.56, but since then it's dropped every day. So it's down every day this week. And then yesterday was down big, opened at 31 and closed at 29. So your support is 28, 23. And so that's where we are on a support of Magnite. So first level support 28, 23, and then next level below that is 24. So and let's see what your performance is on that chart. Let's see. So so you bought at 30.32. So it's only 20. So it's down 29 to 29.09. So you're just down a little bit. So say you had a max amount. So it's down about $200 because you bought full allocation, 165 shares. So
I would just hold.
Just hold. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Did good on the earnings, but since then it's just a sell-off, big time. It's crazy.
What would spark that? Because the earnings came out good, they beat on both, but then they start to drop. What sparks that?
Yeah, I think so. Magnite is a small cap stock, and because of that, the Russell was down last couple of days, right? And so I think that it could just be some rotation out of these smaller stocks that people are going to. So it could be that there's just a general market sell-off and your particular stock just got caught in it. Because again, looking at the fundamentals, the stock did well because you got a huge bump on earnings, and then it's just sell-off. So could be profit taking as well as general market sentiment. So yeah. So this support level at 28 is going to be important. 28, 24 to kind of see if it's going to hold there. And the last area, it held there in that general area, like the last 3 days before earnings. But then go back all the way to July 19th, which I think was just a general market pullback. And that was as low as 27.18. So, all right, let's see next. Deek. Let's see what you got here. Wingstop. Let's go Wingstop. Okay. So talk to me about this Wingstop chart.
Let's see. We had what is supported with 165,
Yes, 170.
170. I don't know. I'd buy some more of the Wingstop, to be honest with you.
Let's see how many got.
You know, based on what I'm looking at for the last couple months.
You know what? Let me check your. I think your order actually filled. Let me see what the. Let me see position wise and when. Yeah, because I know we entered it. All right, so.
It was around 170.
Yeah, it was like 175 from last week. That's what your entry was. 175.86. All right, yeah, 7 shares. Okay. So, and
I would buy another $1,000 worth of Wingstop.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Look at it quickly. Change filter. Okay, so your wing field. Trying to see what day was that. On August 8th. Okay. All right. We got some ATV. So all these are probably the 8th. PTR. Good. Okay. All right. So you say you want some more Wingstop? And to another $1,000 worth?
Yes, sir. $1,000.
Okay. All right. And I'll get that fixed in.
Okay.
So it's about, what did you do on the first one? That's 7. It's about 7 more. Okay. Gotcha. All right. So, yeah, this Wingstop is, just bring the chart out a little bit more. Actually, definitely still in this uptrend here. So as I look here, still on that uptrend. All right. So still going. Cool on the Wingstop. All right, next. Participants list. There we go. Milton, how you doing? See what you got, Milt. PLTR. So, check entry on your PLTR. $21.84. All right. $21.84. All right, let's look at this chart. Are you at a place where you can talk, Milt?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you this morning?
Doing well, thank you. So PLTR, talk to me about your chart here.
Well, 2 things. One, I'm a little sad because I love that channel.
Okay.
Now I'm at the stage where I'm going, In real life, I sold, of course.
Okay.
But I'm looking to buy back, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to get all the way down. Well, actually, in this stock market, you never can tell. It may get all the way back down there. So right now, for this, I'm going to just stay pat.
You'll stay put. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and if I remember correctly, Milt, you were trading this range. And so when you got this huge move up on earnings, that basically took you out of the range. And so now you're just trying to figure out where a new range is going to start, or if it's going to settle down and respect this 24, or what? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, because I don't really like to see what it did on earning day. The day after, it doesn't look that much better. So I'm thinking it's going to form a new range up there, but I don't see the top bound just yet.
Okay.
It could go all the way back to when it started the downtrend, but it's too early.
Okay. That's fair. Let's see. Let's pull out a little bit. So if I look here a little bit, I could say you got some resistance here a couple times. So if this resistance hold and becomes support at this 24, yeah, you might be in a new range. But yeah, I agree with you. Need some more days to kind of figure out if this is going to hold. Now, one thing I will say that's encouraging, had huge volume on that earnings day. Huge volume compared to, I think you have to go all the way back to this bar here to see volume that was comparable. So might definitely be start of a new range. So, all right. So you want to stay pat on it for now in terms of what you're tracking? Or do you want to buy some more?
Let's see that support.
Okay.
What I am doing is I'm right under there, just a tad under there. See if it dips down there again.
Okay.
The way I see it, either I'm going to get the top bound and have to wait, or I'm going to get the lower bound and catch some more gain.
All right. So let me just draw that. So you're saying either looking for here or here in terms of using that 1 day bar to try to establish a new range and see if it obeys that.
Yeah, actually, I will buy if it goes above either go above or below with volume.
Okay. Makes sense. So Milton is giving y'all some trading tips there. If it goes here, he wants to be a buyer. If it goes there, but if it stays sideways, just going to wait till it makes a move decisively higher or lower. Okay. Good stuff. All right. Let's see what else we got. Hey, Vanessa.
Hey, Mike, can I ask a question about that?
Oh, absolutely.
So why is that a good tip as far as buying, whether it goes higher or lower in that sense? Like, what makes that a good buy, whether it's higher or lower?
Milk.
Okay. It starts with 1, I want to stop. Number 2, what I'm looking for is either it's going to establish another trend. If it goes below that 24, more than likely it's going all the way back down to 21 and it's going to stay in this channel again, just like it did before. If it goes above that, then that all the way, if you can scroll back, Mike, to that 27. Yeah, I'm thinking that's going to be its next real test, because that's when that downtrend started. So if it pops above that, then it's going all the way back up to the top of that line up there.
Yeah, so Sharif, I know you're driving. So basically, he's looking for the range because it's kind of in the middle of a larger range. So the larger range is from like 27.37 down to 21. So with it being in the middle, I think Milt is really looking for the stock to show some decisiveness. Either you're going to go to the upper end of that and test it. And so if it gets past this intermediate mark, then he wants to be a buyer to get those $2 from 25.90, say, well, like $1.50 to say 27.37. Versus if it goes lower, then we might be going back from the 23.59 all the way back down to the 21, or at least get back within this training range of 22.50 to say 21.50. So this is more of just trading, that he's just trying to find a range to establish what their upper bounds or lower bounds is in the context of looking back at the history of what it done recently in this downturn.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right. So we'll just stay put for now, and then if you want to put some on next week, depending upon the little price action, we can do that. All right. So let's see here. Yes, we had. All right. Hey, Vanessa. Can you hear me? All right, I'll do it for Vanessa. I know she's on. Maybe she can't talk now. But on
I'm driving. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I was double muted.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so got Nvidia. I know you're driving, so I'll just talk through the chart for you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so let's look at your position first in terms of what you got. So your entry on Nvidia is 196. It's currently trading at 201. You got 20 shares, and you're up about $100. So let's look at the chart. So Nvidia here. So still in a kind of an upwards move. Pretty much this week, it's kind of went sideways to down. It closed the high of the week. It opened the week at 205. It dropped as low as 194, and it's right in the middle at 201. So pretty much still hadn't fallen out of bed, but it hadn't gotten behind the highs either. So it's just kind of really sideways to down movement, just a little bit. But encouraging. Wednesday and Thursday was higher to the start of the week, down. So given that, let me see, got about $1,000 left. Do you want to sell, buy, or hold based upon where you are?
I'm gonna hold.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. And let's see who else we got on here. Kyle, Neo, Ken. You still at a spot you can't talk. All right. Let's see David. David won Roblox. So let's go Roblox here. All right. Let's pull up Roblox. Okay, so let's. David, can you talk? I know you're at the game, but can you talk or no?
What we got?
So I got the Roblox chart up. Are you looking at the screen or are you just listening?
I'm looking.
Okay, so I'm just charting.
103. 60. What is that? 4.
Okay.
So you put a 75 in. I see an 85.
Okay.
That's about it. Shot it. Maybe a 93.
Okay. All right. So David just walked us through the support and resistance there. All right. Let's look at what the trend is. Trend is down. Now it broke the trend on. So if we look at just this past week specifically, Monday was a huge day up from 78 to 85, but the rest of the week pretty much was down until yesterday. Had a little bit of a rebound. So you had decent volume on that last Friday. Well, I guess it was Monday. You had decent volume up and you're still within that bar, so it's still encouraging on that. Of that, so you got 83.96. All right, I'm gonna put the order in for you. How many shares of that you want to buy, David?
Hold on one second. You said, I mean, hold this, baby. Hold this.
Yep. Do you want to use all of the $5,000 to buy the shares, or you just want to use half or something?
Half. Yeah,
half?
do like half.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll say so about 30 shares then. All right, thank you. Okay, so all right, so here over here where I'm tracking the actual stock in our portfolio. So again, for those of y'all seeing this for the first time, this is Roblox. So what I can do, this is the Thinkorswim app on for TD Ameritrade. So if you got a TD Ameritrade account, you have access to this app. You just download it from your App Store or Google Play Store. So I'm in here, entering. So if I want to put in a stock, I can just say hit the search bar, type the ticker in. I already have Roblox. Click on it, brings it up. And so now it gives me an opportunity to see kind of some market statistics here at the top, chart, look at some news here, options. So it's just the interface. So David says that he wants to buy 30 shares. So we're gonna say buy.
What price is it at right now again?
80. It's 83.96.
Yeah. That's a good buy.
Okay. So he wanted 30 shares. Now, so what we're doing for the entry prices on these, we didn't start with limit orders. We're just going to do a market order so it can fill, so we can start tracking it the next week. Because one of the disadvantages that we have is that, the market is not open now. So we'll have to wait until the market opens. But I'm going to just establish its position at 30 shares as a market order. And then once it fills, then we'll be able to track it. So just change this to market. So here in this area, if you all can see my cursor, I'm telling the order type. I want it to be a buy order. I say I want it to be a market order. Quantity is the number of shares I want to buy. It gives me the cost of trade and then time in force. When you do market orders, it automatically defaults to a time in force of day. And what time in force means is just how long does the order stay on before it expires. So with the market order, again, it's only a day order. So it's just because market is just going to say buy at whatever price it is, given the amount of shares, of quantity of shares that I've entered. So we're going to go ahead and do the buy. So here I just click the review. It takes me to the confirmation page. And here it's going to say, okay, so always read this screen right here. It's going to either be green or red, this little area. So I kind of try to read this out loud or make sure I do it, because sometimes as you put orders in, you may have put the order in incorrectly. So this gives you another opportunity, and reading it out loud or at least looking at it and kind of processing it, make sure that you put the order in that was according to your intentions. So buying 30 shares of Roblox market order to open. And this means I don't have any currently. And so to open means to open a position. So I'm going to open position. That looks good. I'm going to say click on paper trade upper right hand corner. All right. And so now you can see that order here says it's working versus these from the past week were all filled. So let's just make sure we got everybody's prices in previously. So let me just do a little updating here. Curtis, SPR. All right, your entry price was $23.41. All right, Christian had Hood at $58.59. And then this way we can look at milk. It's $21.84. Put that one in. ATV, Brenda got $81.77. That's you had you wanted faux as well. That filled at $57.39. Andre, we'll come back to you. Gotta find one for Ken, Mario. All right, David, put your order in, but it hadn't filled yet. And Deke, you want some more wing. All right, so I'll put the orders in. So now let's just go back and talk about our performance on each of these. So we kind of went through. Hey, John, I know you're new on, but is there a stock that you like that you wanna follow?
Really don't know too much about them. What about the Nike?
Yeah, good call. That's right up your alley. So let me get this. So we're gonna do Nike, and we're just gonna do, say, half number of shares at this point for you. All right, so let's go to Nike. Let's see what the Nike chart looking like. All right. So, and the reason why I say that, I know John, he's a sneakerhead. So if you have a passion around a particular product or service, and if the stock is publicly traded, it makes sense to track that stock. All right, so let's look at Nike. Nike's been doing really well here as of late. So they had earnings back on June 25th. Stock jumped from 133 to 151, and then it's just been on a tear since earnings up. So if I just draw a trend line here based off the earnings, trend line will work. Yeah. So you can see we're still just up and to the right. So you have a $5,000 fictitious account. So of that $5,000, how much you want to buy here? It's trading at 171. John, how many? You want to use it all or use half?
Half.
All right. 171. All right, it's about 30 shares. Okay. Oh, it's about 215 shares. There we go. All right, so we'll get that put in. Okay, cool. Let's see. Get the Roblox, Wing, BTC. For Ken, I'm gonna just put in. I know he liked AT&T. I'll put that in for now, and I'll just do half shares for him. About 100. Yep. Let's see, 75. 80. Okay. All right. Mario, you want BTC? Let me see.
Hey, can we change that to NBR?
For Mario?
Yes, sir.
ENBR?
November Bravo Romeo.
NBR.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk to me about that. I'm not familiar with that stock.
Let's go half on that.
All right, let's see, Mario. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mario, so what we try to do is everybody picks a stock. This is your stock. So let's look at what the support and resistance is here. Are you familiar with support and resistance?
Yep.
All right. Do you want to walk me through the prices and I'll draw the lines?
Well, I can't see them really. I ain't got my glasses, none of that. But I see it's on the downtrend. But since we went into sign that infrastructure bill, I think they're going to pop back up. And that's why I want to buy at 78 or 79, wherever they are now.
Okay. And so on that, Mario, tell us a little bit about what Neighbors, what they do.
I don't remember.
All right.
But
Let me flip.
it's on it's on my ticker because I have about 25 stocks, and it was up to 110 recently. But then something happened on the report.
Okay.
So they're dropping, but I know like I've been watching TOPS, TOPS, and the NBR and the RIG, neighbors industry. And I know the TOPS and the neighbors have to do with fuel and Gulf oil industry, but this NBR, I think it's software more, but it's industries within the United States that's going to benefit from the infrastructure bill.
Okay. All right. I think I heard somebody else say something else. All right, Ken. I see you, but you're on mute. Don't worry about it. I mean, you can talk. I ain't worry about them kids. They're fine. Tell them I'm a whooping when I see them. They're my grandkids, y'all, so don't think I'm chastising somebody else's kids. But yeah, so here on Neighbors,
Get up here.
Yeah, so Neighbors say engage in the provision of platform work over rigs and grills. Go on mute for me, David.
You see the football field?
David, go on mute for me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Says operate through the following segments: U.S. drilling, Canada drilling. So definitely oil and gas market that they're in rigs. So oil rigs are responsible for that. And it looks like they're international. Because they talk about international segment focus on maintaining a footprint in the oil and gas market, notably in Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Argentina, Colombia, Kazakhstan, and Venezuela. So, okay. All right, so oil and gas play. Yeah, there was a huge drop from January to May.
Right.
And oh my gosh, I wonder, was that earnings related or what? Because that was 155 to 10. Wow. That was crazy. To 10.
Yeah, I wish I could have got
10 back to 79. So that was, yeah. So yeah, had been following that. Could have made some money. But in terms of recently, definitely in a trend sideways here. So if you look at this from 77 to 126, that's a big. Okay, let me make it a little bit bigger. I didn't realize that range was that big. Yeah, so 77 to 126, and so it's falling down back to this support level. So what are the things you look at here? Is just in terms. That's why these support levels, to draw them out, they make a lot of sense, and they help. And then you can look back and see horizontally how many times have you gotten to that area. So we was here August 19, got there, broke down through that support, broke it, tried to get back up where it was resistance below, and touched this and couldn't get to it, and got close again, couldn't get to it, but finally it got above it, and then it came back down. And so you can see here it has this history at this 76 line. So yeah, so this current area of 76.
Point in there?
Once again,
do you see a breakout point form in there, like a trend up? If you
so if you look at so we just take this one as an example. So you go there, you say the breakout is here as at 76, and with this trend kind of closely mimicking that,
right,
you would say that a breakout is anywhere above that line. So anywhere, say $80, $81 and above would be a reversal of that. Now, the thing that you really want to pay most attention to is to see if it's going to hold this 76 level, or even down, maybe even down to say 74, 73-ish. And if it holds there and just continues to go sideways, that's going to give this move much more strength for a potential bounce. Now, again, what you're saying, this being a oil and gas play, if they can get any of the slated money from the infrastructure bill, that should bode well for them.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I want to put in that.
Say it again.
I want to put the 2,500 into that.
Okay.
NBR.
All right, NBR. Okay, 2,500. CS. We gonna be there. 21, about 30 shares. Say 35. 32. Okay, 32 shares NBR. So I'm gonna put all of these prices in, put the orders in for these this week, and I'll get everybody squared away. So when we come back next week, we'll see what your entry prices are, because they're gonna have to actually fill in the market on Monday, and so we'll see what the entries are, and then we can start looking at profit and loss. Okay, so but given that, if we look at in terms of profit and loss for the people that have already had theirs put in, so we can say Siri with CHP, tighten this up a little bit so I can see the name as well. Okay, so she's up $19. Brenda with Facebook up $32 on her initial investment of about $2,500. Julius up $52 on Google. Christian is down $159 on Robinhood. Sharif is down $200 on Magnite. Kyle is down $175 on Neo. Vanessa's up $111 on Nvidia. Milton is up $229 on do it that way. PLTR. Curtis is down 142 on SPWR. Barry is up 32 on Tesla. Deke is down $40 on Wing. Brenda is also up, so she has two different positions. So if you're only trading like a portion of your $5,000, you can have multiple positions. So in this position, she's up $62. Vanessa, she's up $9 on FO. So Vanessa has FO as well as Nvidia. All right, and then the rest, guys, I'll get y'all's orders added this week, and then we'll be able to track from there on these. All right, let's see. Let me go back. So, chart here. So good on those. Any other stocks we want to take a look at here? Anything of interest? Or we can go over, just use the rest of this time, maybe go over some concepts. Let me walk John through a piece here. So John, I know you're new, but bear with this, guys. I'm walking through. So let's go back to that Nike. All right. So it's a Nike chart. I got this thing all drawn up. I'm gonna delete all of these things. So John, what we do is we go through we believe in like support and resistance. So support and resistance are really just, this is a chart, right? So let me just go back real simple. It's a chart. These things are called candlesticks. And in the candlestick, what they do, the color just tells if it's up or down. And then candlestick has 4 pieces to it, right? Let's see if I can find this real quick. Cousin Kyle put a good description of how to read a candlestick and kind of what it is. All right, let's see here. Okay, so candlestick here. Can you all see that pretty well? I hope so. So you have a top, you have a bottom. So on a candlestick, the very top of it is always going to be the high, the very bottom is always going to be the low. And if it sticks out, that means that there's a time frame that was the low of the day, that was the high of the day. In the cases of the highs and lows, the colors doesn't matter. What the color just means is really about the time frame. So if we're looking at a daily chart, so if we go back to the Nasdaq, so here I'm on a weekly chart, right? So let's Let me make this bigger so we can see. All right, so let's take a, all right, so I'm on a weekly chart. So, I'm sorry, I'm on a daily chart for D. So daily, weekly, monthly, or if you go down to minutes. And why that matters is the time frame. So since I'm on a daily chart, this body or where it's shaded in, the color, that's gonna represent a day. Where that makes a difference is on that day chart, if it's green, and we're talking US stock market for this particular interest. So the green means that the bottom of the body is going to be the opening price. The top of the body of the shaded area is going to be the closing price. So if it starts lower and closes higher, then the bar is going to be green. But the converse of that is true also. If it opens up at 9:30 and the first trade is lower than when it closes at 4 o'clock, if it's higher, I'm sorry, if the first trade is higher when it opens at 9:30 and the last trade of the day is lower when it closes at 4 o'clock, then it's going to become a red bar. So, and again, on this example, this was a up day because we opened at, so what you can do here is on this bar, if you allow your eyes to come up here, when I highlight over any bar, you can see open, high, low, and close. That's what OHLC stands for. And so as I move my cursor across, so here on this green bar, you can see I opened at 154 and then I closed at 158. So am I opening higher than I closed? If the answer is yes, the bar would be green. If I go to the red one, we opened at 161.62, but we closed at 159.84. Therefore, we closed lower. And so the shaded area of the candlestick is going to be red. So that's what gives you the red and the greens, right? So that's a quick overview of the candlestick. Now, so with the candlesticks, now as they start to form, because all the candlestick is doing is just plotting the prices for the day, right? And now what we want to do is just start saying, so we believe in support and resistance. So to draw this into a brush, so we look at where are the low parts on the chart and where are the high parts on the chart. So we say high parts is where does it get up to a peak and then it reverses up to a peak where it reverses. So in that case, you could say these areas here are peaks. All right. What are the peaks we have on this chart? That's a peak. All of this right here is a peak. Right here is a peak, right? So this is just a way to kind of draw them to just get your eyes trained on kind of where the peaks are, right? So all of the highs or these peaks that we're going to call them, we're going to call that resistance, meaning it got up to a ceiling height and it couldn't get any further and then it reversed. So that's a high. So what we'll do there is if you hit the Alt H key here, it'll draw a horizontal line. All right. So when you got a couple peaks that are really close to each other, I can just split the difference between the highs and the lows, and I'll just say right here. So account for those. Again, here, these are pretty close, so I'll just take it right here. This general area, I'll take it here. All right. Now, the same happens, draw this last one. The same happens is when you're looking at the lows. So let me change my color to the lows. All right. So I want to draw the bottoms. Bottom. I can say all three of these are a bottom. You can say that in that area is a bottom. That's a bottom. And we can draw that bottom right there. So now if I do the same and draw the bottoms of those, and if I have one that already overlaps with a support area, then I wouldn't draw it. But I can draw these three bottoms here. And let's say here, I got all of these three that are pretty close. What I like to do is get them where I can draw the line where all three of them are in the bar. So if I draw that one and I can draw this one in here, but since I have one lower, I'm gonna just forego that one because you got this part, and that part, and it kind of obeys what we already drew. So I won't draw that one. And then here, this line corresponds to that one, so we already have it. And then I'll draw this one here. So that just becomes your support and resistance, right? Now, why this is important is because as you go through and you start to see what the stock does, it's going to give you some indication of what did buyers do at these previous areas. So this is where we are real time on Friday, right? But when I look at the history, I can say, oh, okay, when it got to this, and actually let me adjust this one down just a little bit. When it got to this 161 area, and if you think about it, you can say, okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles here. So really, what does that mean? You had 6 trading days where it stayed around this 161 area. Then you had a day that it dropped pretty hard. Then you had 2 more days where it ran up and it got back to that area. So all of this can just say this is, so this market for the particular stock, it's been a bunch of time around this 161 area. That's why we have it as a support area, because this is price history. And from there, you can see that it bounced from there, and then it got above that, and then it started to move up, and it just started to move away from this line. So if you look back at the history, you can say, okay, this 161 is an area. If you go down below that, you say, oh, we got a huge jump. So I don't know if we talked about this before, but let me just point this out. You see here, this purple piece. What this shows is this is June 24th, and then that's June 25th. This is the last closing bar here, this green one, and you got a bunch of space between this bar and this bar. What this is called is a gap. And sometimes you have huge gap ups, this is a huge gap, because you're talking, it closed at 133.60 on a whatever day the 24th was. And then on the 25th, it opened at 152, right? So this is a gap. And that happened because, and I have an indicator here that's showing me that earnings came out. So earnings came out, must have come out after the bell, after 4 o'clock. And then when it opened at 9:30 that next trading day, they had bid the stock up and it's much higher. So if you were in this stock on the 24th, and then you open your account on the 25th, you'll see that your account was up $20+, right? So that's a gap. And gaps happen because of news, either good news. In this case, this is good news. Sometimes you have gaps in bad news and stocks go down. All right. But in terms of the support and resistance, we had this gap here. So once it gapped up, all of this area to the left in that gap, we couldn't really apply it because it got to a new area. So what I do is I just scroll back and see, if I'm again looking at this point here, do we have any other point on this chart that can give me a reference to had it gotten to that point before? So now I can start using my longer time frames. I was on a daily, I went to weekly, now I'm going to monthly, because all I'm trying to do is just see. So what we're seeing here is this, when it gapped up to that 151, this was an all-time high. You have no history to the left on the chart going back, many, many years that we were even that high. So this is an all-time high for the chart. When you reach those points where you're at all-time highs, you really don't have anything to the left of you on the chart to be able to pay attention to. So now you just have to start to chart it based upon what you have. So when you were here, there was nothing to the left to give you a point. But as the stock started trading, and you can see here, we hit this 161. We drew a support area there because that represented tops. All right, you can call this a little bottom, but I wouldn't at this point because it was only 2 days down there, right? And then you got up here. And the reason why I draw this, you say, okay, I didn't draw these two for a bottom, but I did draw these two for a top. And the reason why this is different is because this is an all-time high area here versus that's not an all-time low. That's just a low within a larger trend. And then one thing else that we do is visually you can, so let me just hide these for a second because I want to show this point. Yeah. So visually here, I could draw a trend line and you can see this. So you can see this just trending up and to the right. So when you just look at this with your eyes, you can see it going up and to the right. So that's a trend. And if I just draw a line to represent that, sorry about that. If I just draw that line to represent that, you can just see that that trend is obeying. And what a trend does, it just shows you, is the general area that the stock is running, is it continuing to obey that trend, or did it break below the trend? So let's find an instance where a stock breaks below a trend. Let's look at CMG. All right. So here's CMG trend. So we can say here, and I'm just randomly picking a stock to illustrate the point. So you can see your trend here. You had that same trend repeated here, but you got an opposite trend on here where it broke down. So it's coming down. Let me erase that one. Sorry. All right, so you got a trend down, then you got a trend up. Then you got another trend down here to the right. All right, then you started a new trend up here, right? So you can see these trends, and as long as it obeys below, but if it breaks down sometimes, so here you can see this trend is trending up, whereas here, so on the bottom, so when a trend is going higher, you draw it from the bottom. When a trend is going lower, you draw it from the top going down. Okay, so these are just trends up and down, and you can see that. So that's another thing that we use as well. So going back to Nike, John. So this is how this chart ends up looking like this with all this stuff on it. Whereas, and so I can, so once I get here, I just drew these little circles, not circles, but little peaks, just to be able to kind of get you to see how you can draw them. But I usually don't draw these on my chart, but when I kind of teach it, it helps to see when you're looking at these peaks and valleys. It kind of helps you until you get, your eyes trained to kind of recognize them without having those. Okay, so just to recap, we got support, we got resistance, we draw these lines, we use trend lines as well. And this information is really about recognizing patterns and seeing what stock market participants, other people that are buying and trading Nike, what have they done in the past? And will some of that information help you as you decide to, buy or sell in the future? So any, I know that's a lot, so I could say any questions, but if we want to go over it again, John, we can. Anybody else got any comments on that? Some tips for John, in terms of how you all see this and how has it been helpful or not? Anybody? Bueller?
It's been real helpful. I got a question though.
Yes, ma'am.
The gap, when it jumped up that one day, I noticed that sometimes on earnings, even if they have a good earnings, the stock will go down. So I'm trying to understand what would make the stock go down when you have a good earnings report. And then like in this case, they had a good earnings report and it went up. Does it matter if they have the earnings at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day? Does that matter?
No. Great question. Sometimes, earnings are, like pretty much everything that we, talk about for the most part is all technical analysis. Whereas earnings are fundamentals. So earnings are based upon revenues, liabilities, profit margins, and all of that stuff. So, but the way you get to our earnings number is like, let's see. Okay. Let me try to get somewhere we can see it a little bit better. 1 second. So So we're going to look at Nvidia. All right. So earnings are all about financials. And again, so what happens is, so there's a stock that you follow, Vanessa, and with earnings, you basically say, hey, what are the revenues that the company is making? How many, and revenue is just another word for sales. How much stuff are they selling, right? And then how much are their expenses, right? So this is expense line. So if you take sales and you divide expenses, and then you got different categories expenses. So you got like operating expenses, continuing operations, blah, 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 and you got profits. So let's make it real simple. So you got a lemonade stand. You buy lemonade, you get your stand, get your cups, get your water, and say all of that is going to cost you $100, right? And so that would be your expense. Your expense would be $100. Now, let's say that of that, you can sell 20 cups of lemonade, right? And of those 20 cups of lemonade, let's say you sell them for $5 a piece, right? If you only got 20 cups and you sell $5 a piece, then the most that you can make is 20 times 5, which is $100. So your cost equals your expense. In that case, you have no earnings. You have no profit left over. You're at zero. But when your cost of goods or your input costs or your expenses are less than how much you make on your earnings, then that becomes your profit, right? And profit and earnings are pretty much similar to one another. What happens is in a market is analysts do projections based upon what you've done in the past, what products that you've put out, what services that you sell. And they make projections, and a lot of times you give them input to say, hey, we think historically our sales has been growing at 10% a quarter. So they're looking, so if you say here, if this was a 10% estimation, so they're going to look for those earnings to come in at 6. So say this is in thousands, right? So they're going to look for those earnings to come in at 690. So if you add 690 to the 6,910, you'll be at, what is that? Just say 7. So you'll be at like 76, right? So if your earnings come out and you're not at the 7,600 number, they may say, or let's say you came out and your earnings number was right at 76. But what if you had guided and you thought your numbers were going to be at 8,000? They will say, oh, those were good earnings, but they were not good concerning. We thought you were going to have much more than that. So your earnings number may have actually disappointed, whereas the raw numbers showed that, hey, we were up 10%. But if the market was expecting 15%, they can look at that as being a disappointment. And so sometimes when you have those disappointments, you get gaps. So if you get a surprise where somebody say, oh, I didn't think Nike was actually going to do that good. They had earnings much better than what the analysts and the Wall Street participants were expecting. Then you can get a surprise to the upside. And they say, oh, they did much better than we thought. Therefore, they'll reward the stock by buying it. Whereas if it comes in where the numbers were still positive, but they were less than what they were expecting, then it can go lower. And there are a bunch of things. So it could just be earnings. It could be, lawsuits, could be stuff regulatory, could be competitors come out with news that they think that they're going to eat up some of your market share. It's all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, and as technicians in terms of just plotting price points, you will take good earnings or, you'll be upset about bad earnings. But really what you're just looking at is what did people do with their money? Not in terms of what they thought about it or even what the company did, but what did people do as a result of the news that they got? So in this case, earnings came out, earnings were definitely good, but the people said they voted with their dollars and said, oh, we like what we saw, therefore we're going to buy. And it's really as simple as this. Stocks go up because people buy them. Stocks go down because more people sell them than buy them. It's really just that simple. The more demand that you have, the greater pressure that you're going to have on a stock, and it's going to go higher. And so here we got more demand. You got more buyers than sellers based on huge volume. That's what pushed the stock up. And you continue. So You just say here, all right, so first day came out, all right, right there. But even the follow-on days, people kept buying. More people kept buying. So you look, got a red day sprinkled in the midst of a bunch of greens. You got here and it was like, oh, this has been a pretty big move. So if you look percentage-wise, you say from here to here, that was a 7% move in about 3 weeks. But if you really say from here to here, that was a 20% move in 3 weeks and a day, right? Some people may be taking some profits here at this 161. They took a little profit, got a gap down. So this is another gap. It's a smaller gap, but still a gap, right? From here to here. All right. Hit this trend line, but people bought it back up. They said, you know what? At this 150, so it got as low as 156. But they said, you know what? We still like it. More buyers came in than sellers. And so they just started to continue that trend again. Got a little stalled out here for a couple of days. Then they continue to buy up. So what happens is, like really big money in the market, a lot of times they don't make their full buy at one time. They may buy shares over time. So say, for instance, if I'm buying $1 million worth of shares in Nike, or say I'm buying 1 million shares of Nike, right? So it could be like $1 billion. In this case, what I would do, or, a couple hundred million, what I could do is say, I don't want to buy all of those at one point. So that buyer may just be buying a little bit every day. See a pullback, buy a little bit more every day. But no matter if that's one big company that's buying a bunch of these shares, or one individual, ultra wealthy or whatever, but generally the market is saying that, hey, they like Nike at these prices because they continue to buy it and it goes higher. But you have cases where, so if I go back on this chart and you look, you can see where they didn't like Nike so much. So go back here. This is that's probably a bad example, but that's the pandemic. Let's say here. So we got to this 144, and then it dropped down to 125. So you can say in that area, they were liking Nike for a while, but then you got a pullback. So if I just draw all these pullbacks, pullback, and again, you can start to see these patterns form. So it looks like they really had a hard time. You had a bunch of sellers at this 145 level, right? So just look at this. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas where it got up to that 145 line, and you had buyers and sellers just coming in, just selling it. And then you got the buyers coming back in at this general area of 129, 130. So if you look at just what the price is there, the difference. So people were just trading this range, this 12% range up and down. So you got, so here, if you say from here to here, that's 1, from here to here, that's 2, from here to here, that's 3. So if you're going long, you had 3 opportunities to buy that in that range. And some people trade these ranges just looking at the support and resistance. They get here, they buy, they get here, they sell. But if you're looking at the history, if you did that 3 times at 12% a piece, your aggregate gain on that is 36%. If you make 36% on any stock in a year, that's phenomenal. But they didn't do it all at once. They just did it 3 different times. So it's probably a very long answer to your question.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Any other? So, John, I hope that helped. I know that last piece was probably a little bit more, but again, just to sum it up, support and resistance, you got your trend lines, and you can just start to follow these things. The more and more you see this, the more and more you hear us talk about it and kind of get familiar with the language, it'll get easier. Promise me. Just stick with us.
Hey, Mike, I got a question, maybe a silly question, but when I'm drawing my support and resistance line in TradingView, I have to like click and drag them all the way across. When you draw, it's like you click one time and it draws the whole line.
Yeah. So what you can do is, if you hold down, so any drawing tool on the left, there's a little caret here that sticks out. If I highlight and draw that out, what they'll show you is that some of these have shortcut keys. So the horizontal line has a shortcut. So I'm on a Mac. So all I do is just hold down the Option key and hit H. On a PC, I think it's just Alt H. So hold down the Alt key and hit H, and it just will draw that vertical line for you. And that way you don't have to draw it in.
Awesome.
Yep. Any other questions? Ken, I put you down for not Ameritrade, but AT&T. Is that the stock you want to follow, or is there another stock you'd like to have? Ken.
Hey, Mike. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you good.
AT&T. Ever since they had that big debacle, I'm not really following AT&T too much.
What's your largest holding?
Probably between Apple and PepsiCo.
All right, let's do PepsiCo. All right, so PepsiCo is 156. How many shares of that you want to trade? You got $5,000 in this account. How much of that 5,000 do you want to use?
Just make it easy. Let's just say
I'm sorry?
I said just make it easy. I'll just say half.
Okay. All right, so 156. It's about 32 shares. 16. I don't know why I always do that. All right, so 16. Okay. So I'll put that order in and we'll start tracking it. Let's look at that.
Okay.
PepsiCo real quick. This chart. So PepsiCo obviously is Pepsi stock, but they own a bunch of restaurants as well. So looking at this, just resistance, definitely on a huge run going back from March, from 128 to 148. Kind of went sideways here at this 146, and now we're up to this 158. Why you like this stock? What's your reasoning on this one, Ken?
Well, I bought it back in March where you see that circle. And,
oh, you bought it here?
Yep.
Oh, okay, good trade. So let's just see. From there to where you are, we're talking 22%. Guys, if you can make 22% in a year, let alone 6 months, that's a phenomenal trade. So I don't know if we talked about this before, but there's this rule called the rule of 72. What it says, take your interest rate and you divide the interest rate by 72. That'll tell you how long it takes for your money to double. So at 10%, it'll take 7.2 years. At 14, almost 15%, take your money, 5 years. I think about 23%, take your money like every 3 years to double. Yeah. So in compound, that is. And so if you can get 20% 1 year, followed up 20% the next year, followed up 20% the third year, you're close to 100% gain, even though linearly that's only like 60%. But when you compound it, it really helps. And so the idea is you want your money working for you. And if you can get year over year over year, decent gains. So if you shoot for, this is one, it's like this investment club philosophy. They say if you can earn like, I think it's 14.9, 14.6% a year, your money's going to double every 5 years. So if you start out, and why that's important is because the doubling effect is what's going to allow you to grow your portfolio over time. So what happens is so if you say, hey, if you're going to be invested in the market, say 20 years, if you're able to do the 14% or almost 15% per year, that means your money is going to double every 5 years. So if you take a 20-year span, you're talking about your money doubling 4 times. So if you start with $1,000, you're talking 1,000. First double is 2,000. Second double is 4,000. Fourth double is 8,000. Right? So you went from $1,000 to 8,000 over 20-year span because of those 4 doubles. But just imagine, throw a 0 on that. So now you're talking, 10,000 to 80,000. Then you say 100,000 to 800,000. Right? So having these doubles work for you based upon the percentages that you have in this compound interest, it'll allow your money to grow. And the longer that you have to work, and so that's why you want to be invested over the long term, or even if you're trading, but over the long term where you're getting percentage gains, is really going to help to with that factor of having compound interest work in your favor. So again, this 20% run here is huge in 6 months. So good trade there, Ken. Good trade. And then we can actually see here after it went sideways. Wrong tool. After it went sideways here, it's kind of in this box, this trading box, and then it picked up and started a new trend up from here. So kind of broke that trend, but it's coming back up and see. So if it can get back above this 158, that trend could still be in. The trend is actually broken right now. But let's see if it's going to be able to get back and break through to the upside. If not, then technically this trend here, downtrend, has started there. And then another little uptrend has restarted there. But so any other questions? I'll get these entry orders put into our portfolio, and we'll be able to track these new people with their entries here, and we'll be able to go forward. All right. So if no other questions, I appreciate you all's time today, as always, and we'll do it again next week.